Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Pixel Junkies podcast, episode 203. My name is Adam Face, and I'm going to be the host for the show for this evening, and today I have two very special guests with me. The first is a Mr. Andrew.
Oh, hey, I'm very special.
And the other one is a Mr. Aaron, who is currently playing The Division.
Hey there, I'm less special.
You are equally special.
Nope.
I guess
that we're equals.
I guess to explain why we're playing The Division today, we'll touch on this very briefly. There was a kind of an update for this game that came out this week, wasn't there?
I was going to say that Adam said play a game that begins with T.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why.
well, just shatter that illusion then.
Does the count?
I pressed T on the keyboard, and that was the first game it went into, so yes. Anyway, yes, we are playing it. An update just came out for it today. I think the second title update. It's the Tidal Basin Stronghold, what they've added. Effectively, it adds... The end game has world tiers. Each one has, like, each time you go up in world tier rank, the gear and stuff that you can get is better. This is effectively... If you don't like grinding in a looter shooter, then the end game is not for you, because that's where all this stuff is hidden. So you go around, get better gear. Each time you rank up, you get the opportunity to take on a stronghold. And that allows you to once you beat the stronghold, you basically are promoted to the next world tier, and then you go around. You can upgrade your gear again, and then you can do another stronghold. Effectively, there were only 3 strongholds, so you could only get to world tier 4. But the fourth stronghold is out now, and that lets you get to world tier 5, which is, if you played the first game, then you'll know it was the highest rank that you could get in the end game. Which you can now get, and they're adding with that a bunch of new gear, a bunch of new weapons, and a shitload of balance fixes and bug fixes, which is very nice. They completely overhauled how the mods, gun mods work. I haven't really looked at it myself. I'm honestly just playing it for the first time since the update now. But they've changed how a lot of the upgrades for your skills, they all have mods. Your weapons all have mods. And they've just rebalanced it to make it more fun, essentially, from what I heard. I haven't had an opportunity to try it out yet, but I guess the long and short of it is previously weapon mods had positives and negatives, so you kind of had to strike a balance for if you want range versus damage or something like that. Now they've changed it so that the mods don't have any negatives because it was affecting some different build styles. So they changed that and just sort of
is that
reduced.
Something that the fans that the player base was asking for?
Yeah.
Or was that a planned update?
No, a lot of players were saying that the negatives are negatively impacting a few different. There's a number of gear sets in the game. I'll just look at them here. Each of the gear sets have benefits. Each time you add, in fact, some of the gears, they all have 3 different modifiers, I guess. So each time you wear a piece of that gear set, you get an additional modifier. So if you have all 3, then you get all 3 modifiers. And those can include an accuracy bonus, a weapon damage bonus, like a shotgun damage bonus, something like that. So there's a bunch of different styles of loadouts that you can set up that way. But some of the weapon modifications kind of negated some of those benefits. Like if you were going for straight crit damage percentage on a build, and maybe a gear piece increases how much crit damage you can do, then maybe some modifications you're using that maybe you're trying to do a long range sniper build for crit damage, maybe those modifications take away your crit damage. So it kind of makes some of those modifications useless. So they just rebalance that so that the positives are smaller, but there are no negatives now, so that's nice.
Interesting. It sounds like I wonder, that. It sounds like that might be something that they address again in the future, just kind of tweaking the balance for the game. But
yeah, they probably will. They've nerfed a couple of weapons that were doing too much damage, and supposedly buffed a number of other weapons that weren't doing enough damage.
Well, at least it seems like they're listening to their fan base and kind of taking in what they want.
Yeah, it's nice to see that they've done a lot of work with it in such a short time. It's only been a couple of weeks, really. And they have sizable amount of content that just came out for free to everybody, and a significant title update with a nice few changes. And then they're adding. What are you gonna say?
Oh no, keep going.
They're adding the raid on the 25th of April. So that's fairly the first raid anyway.
It's kind of like it's like an actual like a raid, right?
Yeah,
like a dungeon with a big boss at the end.
I would assume so. They've sort of been teasing it. It's an 8-man raid, which is the biggest like mission that will be able to do in both of these games. So I'm expecting it to be challenging and long.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be interesting because I never played them, unfortunately, because I didn't have anybody to really play with. I didn't have enough people. But from what I've seen and read about, the raids in Destiny were the best parts of those games, apparently.
Yeah.
They look like a lot of fun. So hopefully that this raid will kind of be of this similar, quality for the Division players.
Yeah,
I remember
hopefully.
playing the raids in the first division.
There weren't any.
Oh.
I kind of moving on from that and kind of backtracking a little bit and talking about Ubisoft listening to their player base and kind of implementing changes that need to be changed. Kind of the opposite of that has happened. Last week we talked about Borderlands 3 being announced. First there was a teaser trailer, and then there was the actual trailer was released a couple of days later. Despite some flaws, a little bit of goof with the tech when the trailer was released, eventually the full thing was shown, and I thought it looked pretty good. The entire internet was waiting for the other shoes to drop, whether it was going to be a battle royale mode or whether it was going to be all microtransaction and loot box out the ass, or whether it was going to be an Epic Store exclusive. And it seems that the first of those potential shoes has dropped, because apparently Borderlands 3 is going to be a 6-month Epic exclusive when it releases. Andrew, what do you think that means?
Yay! I should have bought one of those party things. Yeah, those party whistle blower things.
There you go.
This is stupid.
Yep.
But, you know what? It's 6 months as opposed to a year, so I guess that's good.
It just seems, because correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Epic say that they didn't want to do stuff like that anymore, that they didn't want to try and take away exclusives from other stores and cause that much fan backlash anymore?
Oh, no. No, Adam. If you remember, well, I guess you're right. They did say that. But then Tim Sweeney came out and said, and I quote, Epic is open to continuing to sign funding/exclusivity deals with willing developers and publishers, regardless of their previous plans or announcements around Steam. And basically what this translates to is they will continue to hound developers, even games that are very, very close to being released on Steam.
Like they did with Metro Exodus.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it seems like for the most part, the backlash against Epic's storefront has been pretty universal amongst all the gaming community. Also, although it's certainly the kind of core of that anger seems to be focused on the Steam user base. I think even a lot of like Fortnite players and stuff, I think, are disagreeing with this with this decision, or I don't know if decision is the right word, but business strategy, because it seems very kind of anti-consumer. I don't even know if anti-consumer is the right word, but perhaps just dickish is the way of going about it, where everybody has
it is
this
anti-consumer.
Yeah.
But Fortnite players aren't old enough to know what that is, though.
Yes. I mean, some old people play Fortnite, I'm sure. How old's Ninja? He's got to be like in his 30s, right?
Actually, he swore off Fortnite because of some bullshit patch or something. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, they...
It's probably just drama. I'm sure he's back playing it now.
Oh, probably. Something to do with how the game was catering towards new players, and veteran players didn't like that. You know, because having a bigger player base is a bad thing, I guess.
Especially in a game like Fortnite that needs a large player base.
Yeah.
He dropped below 44 billion viewers, so he had to find a way to generate some drama there.
Well, I mean, kind of continuing on the vein of Borderlands, because it's kind of been dominating the news this week. Randy Pitchford says that Borderlands 3 will release faster if Half-Life 3 is announced. What does that mean? I saw this quote too earlier in the week.
Stupid joke he made on Twitter.
Okay, so it is a joke. Okay,
Yeah.
I almost figured it out. I don't think Randy Pitchford should be allowed to make funny, to allowed to tweet out jokes if they're not funny. I'm just saying.
Well,
as the head of a company,
I don't think anybody shouldn't be allowed to do anything unless it's illegal.
I mean, that was for humor. I gotta admit, Andrew, but it was
Nazi Adam.
A lot of his
Nazi
jokes
Adam.
a lot of his jokes tend to fall flat. At least when I see him in he's just not a funny dude. Like I saw an interview.
He did a decent magic trick on stage.
Was it having the video play flawlessly without any jittering?
No, that was.
Oh, okay.
He can have a card come out of a game that he made and probably packaged personally and have some dude's name on it, but he can't play a 4K video. Oh, this old Randy.
Yep. That's the Randy that we know and love. I know he did an interview once where the guy he wanted the guy to mention Jim Sterling's name, but he didn't want to mention it. So he was like, "Man, there's this fat British guy who's always busting my balls, and I can't remember him." And the guy was like, "I don't." And the interviewer was like, "I don't know who you're talking about." It's like, "Yeah, he's like this fat British guy. He always wears like a weird costume and stuff." And the guy's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure it is." Like, and he always plays with like Boglins or Pogs. I'm like, "Dude, you know his name. Just mention his name." If you know he plays with Boglins and Pogs, you know that is Jim Sterling. So, yeah. I gotta be honest with you, the more Borderlands 3 is just, I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but Borderlands 3 is kind of, for me, a continuation of the long and seemingly endless line of AAA games that are announced. I'm initially very excited for, and then are immediately yanked out of that excitement based on shitty decisions and announcements that come out, like Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is, oh man, this Star Wars Battlefront game is going to have a story mode. Fucking A. We're also going to load it up the ass with microtransactions. Hey, oh man, the new Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War looks awesome. Yeah, we're going to make all the orcs, the reason that everybody plays this game, we're going to make all those loot box items. What? Like it just keeps happening. Every time a cool AAA game is announced by certain companies, certainly, it just seems like, oh man, I can't wait for some bad news to come out about this game. It's no longer excitement about these games anymore like it used to be. It's when is the bad news coming? When is this going to have loot boxes in it? When is it going to be a fucking battle royale mode? When is it going to be online only? When is it going to be a DRM thing? You know what I mean? Like, when did this become the mainstream game industry?
I hate to say it, Adam.
What?
But we're no longer the target audience of these video games.
But
the target audience is the younger people that this stuff has been normalized for. They've grown up using the loot boxes and stuff like that. They don't know a market without that stuff.
But even if that's the case, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you, but even if that was the case, loot boxes are very
predatory.
Well, yes, I was going to say anti-consumer, but predatory is another word for it. How are these loot boxes good for the consumer? You know what I mean? Like, it's like back when we were in high school.
What if I don't want it to be good for me, though? Where am I supposed to play games? What if I want to get my wallet raped?
Steam has an entire library. It's called Early Access.
Rape my wallet,
GOG
though.
is a great place because you can play all the old games that didn't have that shit.
No, but they don't have loot boxes in them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I want to get my wallet raped. How am I supposed to do that?
Then just go to Epic.
Or
because that's where all the new games
or the
are
Google
going.
Store.
Yeah, good. See, that's why it exists. People like me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just very frustrating because I love games. I love playing games, but it seems there's less and less.
Wouldn't you enjoy it more though if you could spend money on it after you already paid for it?
No, I mean to a certain extent, yeah. Like why? Because I don't want to feel like I have to pay a game in order to feel like I'm progressing in it.
Yeah.
Like DLC is different. Like stuff like the Lair of the
high
Shadow
horse,
Broker
old man.
shut up. Let me speak. Stuff like the DLC for Mass Effect 2 and 3, or the DLC for Skyrim. There's to name a couple. There's others. Those were good because they added on to the story. They didn't feel like it was necessary. Like to complete the game, but the DLC for Destiny absolutely was necessary to make that game seem like a complete experience. In fact, I would say that Destiny was a game that was deliberately chopped up. Whether that was because of time constraints or greed, probably both. And a lot of the story was hidden in the DLC packs, especially the Taken King. That's where a lot of the story was hidden. And that's fucking scummy as hell. Again, I have no way of backing that up, but that's just what I feel because that's how the game felt. Like Destiny 1 I'm talking about. Like Destiny 1 felt like a game that had no story at all, and then all of the interesting stuff and characters and cutscenes and actual like stuff happened in the Taken King, which you had to pay $40 fucking for or whatever the fuck that cost.
Yeah, good.
So it's just very frustrating is all. And yes, video games have always, this industry has always had problems, like whether it was too many shitty games coming out that led to the 1983 crash or 1982 crash, or whether
Back when
it was,
there were 6 video games in the entire world.
Yeah. Actually, the problem was there was too many games. They were all clones of each other. There's only so many fucking Pac-Man clones the market can take before it's like, all right, we're just going to collapse here. But, it just seems like, and I didn't grow up in that period, but it seems almost quaint in comparison. Like it seemed like an industry finding itself, as opposed to right now, which is an industry trying to squeeze the market for every single dime that it can. You know what I mean? It just seems like everybody's gotten greedier and greedier as time has gone on.
That's good old capitalism for you, Adam. If you don't like it, you're a dirty commie.
I suppose I do lean fairly socialist with my worldview. So
wow, you're a dirty commie. Communism doesn't work, by the way. Hey, what's next on the list?
I don't have
well, I suppose speaking of capitalism and communism, Avengers Endgame apparently has sold the most tickets, like pre-sale tickets, in ever. Apparently, the previous title was held by what was the previous title?
The Force Awakens.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yep. Apparently, tickets are going $9,000 on eBay. Jeez, I didn't read the full title on that one. Holy shit! $9,000 on eBay for movie tickets. The movie's gonna play next day. Go to a different showing.
Yeah. Well, what happened there was people were trying to get tickets so badly that a lot of ticket sellers in the States, all those websites just broke completely and crashed for a long time. And people couldn't get tickets, and then some people were just lucking into getting tickets. You know how when the internet breaks sometimes people get in, some people don't get in.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of people were real disappointed that they couldn't get tickets, and so people were just scalping the shit out of them, buying up every ticket they could, and now
I fucking hate scalpers, man.
Now they're selling them on eBay for upwards of $9,000 in some areas.
Yeah, fuck that.
That's on the upper end. There's a lot of tickets going for less than that, a couple thousand, a couple hundred. But even still, it is an obscene amount of money for.
If this movie had a full-on hardcore lesbian sex scene between Scarlett Johansson and Brie Larson, the tickets would still not be worth $9,000.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't
because
had
here's
enough
the thing:
forethought.
you can go next week.
Yeah, but see, they would have made a lot more money on scalping, though.
I suppose. Yeah, they would have.
If I had the forethought to do that, and we had the population here to do it, I probably would have bought a bunch as well. Because when I bought our tickets, there was no seats taken in the theater at all, and like the next day there was like 10 seats left in the front row, and that was it. And I'm sure they're gone. They're all gone now.
I can't wait to go to this movie and have somebody vomit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I hope there's a
Honestly.
big ass fucking pool of vomit right in the middle of my seat, and I gotta sit there for 3 hours smelling that fucking tangy ass garbage what everybody had in his gut.
For reference, we went to the first Avengers, and there was vomit all over the
It was the second one,
steps.
wasn't it?
It might have been Ultron. It was one of the Avengers
maybe it
movies,
was.
and there was vomit.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't know you. I didn't know you when the first Avengers came out.
Yeah,
That was 2012.
that was a while ago.
Bitch, you still don't know me.
I also
I'm
want.
just joking. You're
This
one of
won't-
my closest friends.
This won't be a.
You know him too
This
well.
won't be a true cinematic experience for me unless some kid loses all of his fucking
Oh, yeah.
Skittles.
In a puddle of vomit.
Yeah. Ugh.
They call that the 5D movie experience, where the kid just pours Skittles on the ground. The fifth dimension,
pretty-
as we know, is something humorous happening to somebody else in your movie row. That's welcome to the fifth dimension.
Like we're sitting down in the middle of the movie, and then some guy says, "Like my wife is cheating on me." It's like there it is. There's the fifth dimension.
Oh no, I just shit myself.
Oh, there. That's fucking.
Thanks for
smell
telling everybody.
off, sorry. Ugh. Didn't we go to the movie
If you're
once for
wondering
some
what
woman-
that smell is, it's because I shit my clothes.
Didn't we go to a movie once and some woman had bought like clam chowder or some like fucking stinky soup?
Somebody
like, Tim
somebody
Hortons?
told us they like brought a whole fucking pot of clam chowder from home.
Oh right, yeah.
I don't know whose story that was, but I remember hearing it.
There was I did see somebody eat something disgusting in the movie theater. Like it wasn't like movie theater food, like popcorn or nachos or whatever. It was something really disgusting. I can't remember what it was. Anyway.
Probably Jordan with like broccoli soup or something.
The next time we go to Tim Hortons with Jordan, we got to stop him from getting the clam chowder or whatever the fuck he gets.
He's a broccoli-
broccoli soup. It's all he eats.
Everywhere we go, if they got broccoli soup, Jordan has a fucking massive bowl of it. And the
He
whole
has to order the worst smelling thing on the menu.
and it takes him 2 hours to eat it because we're all fucking like completely put off, but gagging at the smell, and he's dying laughing at it. I'm pretty sure he just buys it to die laughing. Doesn't buy it for the fucking soup at all.
Ugh.
Fucking enemies, where are they?
So, I mean, kind of getting back on Avengers Endgame, it seems like that movie's... I really hope that movie lives up to everybody's expectations, because this is really the culmination of kind of 10 years of 11 years of fucking films. More so than Avengers, more so than Ultron, more so than Infinity War. This is the... Like, if they don't... I feel like... Not that's going to decrease the value of the other ones, but, like, if they don't stick the landing, it's going to be very noticeable because they've just been building up to it. Now, Marvel's generally been pretty good when it comes to their properties, especially Avengers.
Especially the
some of
Russo
their-
brothers.
Yeah, so
They've nailed all the movies they've done.
So I'm hoping that this is going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. But from what I heard, the Russo brothers said that this movie has had the best screen tests they've ever had.
Oh well,
So
there we go.
if you want to
A
hype
small
it up,
part
there
of me-
you go.
A small part of me hopes is really bad, so that all the people that spend $9,000 on tickets get
Like if they were going to
shafted.
see
Well-
episode 1 of Star Wars, like spend $9,000 to see Jar Jar Binks speak nonsense to fucking tribal Bongo. Or whatever
At
the
least
fuck
we
that
have a
vehicle's
silver
called.
lining. So I'm sure
Yeah.
we're gonna lean over to Andrew at the end of the movie. After 3 hours of sitting in my own filth, I'll just lean over to Andrew like, well, at least somebody spent $9,000 on this.
No matter how good this movie is, it's not going to be worth $9,000.
Yeah.
There's not very many things outside of like cars and houses that are worth $9,000. If I'm being completely honest with you, like if you
Like,
if
what
you're
does
going,
that
if-
person smell like that spends that amount of money?
Probably really good because they probably got a lot of cash to spend on like soap and shit,
Unless
right?
they sold their house to buy a fucking movie ticket.
Can you
I
imagine?
mean, I could buy that right now, and I don't smell very good. So,
You could buy a $9,000 movie ticket right now.
yes.
What the fuck is the matter with you?
I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm saying I could. I'm thinking most people could.
I don't know why.
Financially possible.
You have a lot of money. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Why would you spend a lot of money?
Response to that.
Why the hell do you have so much money? What do you need money for?
I'm saying that a lot of bad-smelling people do have the means to that ticket.
I suppose.
A $9,000 ticket isn't something that you're going to... Well, I mean, it is something that you would,
I mean, if all, to
a
be honest,
rich person
if
would use pocket change for. But also, Aaron is correct in assuming that somebody really awful smelling is probably going to buy that.
Well, nobody sane spends that amount of money on a ticket. If you're rich, you're probably very money smart and a penny pincher. That's why you have a lot of money. So it doesn't make sense.
Unless you're the president of the United States.
Or
I gotta be honest with you. I wouldn't pay $9,000 for a ticket to the Wonka factory for a chance to win the Wonka factory.
I would sooner.
No, because you'd probably end up
Avengers
horribly
ticket.
disfigured.
Yeah,
Can you imagine that's what fucking happens in a modern retelling of Willy Wonka? He sets out 5 golden tickets for some lucky kid to go on a tour of his chocolate factory with the hopes that maybe they'll take over the business. And they're all bought out by fucking scalpers and sold on eBay to rich assholes for thousands of dollars. That's exactly how that would go. Ruined the whole point of the narrative.
Yeah, they should remake that movie, but
Except
like
not with Tim
modern
Burton
day.
in it, or fucking Johnny Depp in it.
Well, make it a modern day retelling.
Yeah,
modern day.
Yeah.
Modern.
Let's not forget that Johnny Depp ruined that as he ruined Alice in Wonderland. That
Is there a porno parody called Willy Wanker?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
I'm sure there is.
Because it's got to be British too, right? And they're all like,
there's got to be. Well, it's got to be British, and there's probably some very uncomfortable little
wink
people
my dick, yeah.
things happening in that movie. And I'm
Willy
just gonna move on
Wanker
from-
and the Fudge Packing Factory.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You're gonna want to go ahead and patent that.
Oi.
It's from 1995.
Suck on my everlasting knob stopper or whatever.
Speaking of everlasting stoppers, apparently
Knob
GameStop
stopper.
reports huge loss after the 2018 fiscal results.
Oh man,
I gotta be
really?
honest, I'm not a huge fan of GameStop or EB Games. I think everyone's like, oh my god, but my childhood. I'm like, I don't know about you, but I always thought EB Games, like after I turned like 15, I was like, man, EB Games is just fucking awful.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of people pushing shit on me that I don't need. Like, the employees there were fine and stuff, but, like, the business itself, I won't be sad if it goes. I'd be much more sad if, like, Games Exchange, which is our local game store that sells, like, used games and, like, retro games and stuff, I'll be much more sad if that goes, because it's a local business and they actually sell, like, decent products.
Yeah.
Not that, you know what I mean?
I think Games Exchange is probably more safe in that sense because their market isn't like, the latest video games. It's retro shit. Like, fucking Daggerfall or super old PC games that you can't find copies of anywhere.
SNES games.
Yeah, or buying old consoles and old peripherals and shit like that. That's sort of what they specialize in. So I think, hopefully, that's enough to keep them around longer.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I think that by 2020, GameStop will be gone. By the end of 2020, GameStop will be gone.
Maybe.
Or
I'm
it'll
thinking a
just
little
be
further than
in
that,
America.
but yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
Or
it'll
it'll
be-
just
I think-
become like, kind of what they are now. The only time I've been to EB Games, GameStop in the last like 10 years, like 90% of their shelf space is just like trinkets and
Like ThinkGeek.
yeah. Just kind of like random game related clothing and shit like that.
I think either they own part of ThinkGeek or ThinkGeek owns part of them. I can't remember which way it goes,
Maybe.
but that's why they have a lot of ThinkGeek, because there's a lot of ThinkGeek product on their shelves, and apparently that's why. It was same with HMV. HMV was partly owned ThinkGeek, so that's why a lot of their shit in their stores was the ThinkGeek stuff, because they were trying to use that as a business model
is that what that was?
to
Okay.
keep their store afloat. It didn't work.
Yeah, not really.
So
There's all-
I actually
well-
do miss HMV because I like going in there to look through CDs and shit.
I think the problem
Pick
was
up
all
stuff,
that stuff was
new
too
stuff.
expensive. But it was nice
Yes.
to browse, even though I only buy digital, really.
I mean, like, I do, as a nerd, I like buying useless tat, but at the same time, like, a lot of the useless tat is, like, $60. I'm like, I'm not paying $60
Yeah,
for
it's
that.
like, oh man, you can get a Portal-themed salt and pepper shaker for $80. Like, who the fuck wants this?
Stainless steel and Federation Starship Enterprise pizza cutter, $120. Like, $120 for pizza cutter?
They just bought it online and double the price. That's all they did.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing. Let's see how much that pizza cutter actually costs.
Anyway, a lot of that stuff is ludicrously expensive. I only bought a couple shirts there because they were there, and I figured why not just buy it now while I see it and I like it.
Oh, it's only $20. It's only $15. Whoops. Oh, it's on sale for 30%. It's $20.
Oh, you should definitely buy that.
Yeah, because I'll definitely use that. Man, I've been on ThinkGeek in ages. Let's see what kind of t-shirts they got.
GameStop owns ThinkGeek, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is that what it is? Do you remember there was a brief period of time where like electronic shirts were kind of popular? I don't know if you remember that.
Electronic shirts.
Yeah, so like it would be like a shirt and like it'd have a speaker in it and you could hook it up to your iPhone.
Oh, I thought it was like something you put on your forehead and it projected a shirt onto your chest.
Or like it would be like there's one here of a guitar.
Yeah.
There's one here of a guitar.
It looks like you're wearing a shirt.
And it'll make noise. Like what the? Who the fuck wants that on their shirt? You bend over to like tie your shoe, and all of a sudden, bring. Like, get out of here.
How obnoxious do you have to be to have a speaker in your shirt that plays your music?
I know a guy who bought that.
Jordan?
So. No, it wasn't Jordan.
Oh.
Is it somebody I know?
No, but I'm not gonna name names.
Okay.
They know.
I mean, are they obnoxious?
I can neither confirm or deny.
There's Rory in it.
Rory, when you listen to this podcast, please confirm that you are, in fact, the owner of this.
I will say it is
shirt.
not Rory. Rory's not that stupid.
He'll look down at his shirt and then pull his fingers across it. It'll make it to your guitar noise. Bring, bring, bring.
Speaking of awful stuff, can I be honest with you? We do. I was in a weed paraphernalia shop the other day for work because we do their alarm system, and I hate weed.
Oh,
weed.
Because we live in Canada and weed is legal.
I think I hate weed culture.
Yep. Also stings.
It stinks. If you want to smoke weed, that's fine. I have no problems with that. But I hate people who make weed their personality. I don't. Well, not even hate. I just find it very irritating. Like that whole lifestyle. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, Andrew's over there choking down a fat stove.
maybe cut my audio this bit. I couldn't mute my mic in time.
Well, if I do mute it, Andrew was coughing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sad news for GameStop. Kind of speaking of big business shakeups, though, apparently Microsoft might roll Xbox Live and Game Pass into one big subscription. I think that's probably a pretty likely thing to happen. I don't know about you guys, but
I think it's a good idea.
Yes, please. So I don't need to spend the $60 on nothing.
Yeah. That seems like a very... this term's come up a lot because of me, but that seems like a very consumer-friendly thing to do.
So long as the price doesn't drastically increase. It's like, oh, it's $200 a year now, but you get access to these 5
it's looking like it's $14.99 a month.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's Xbox Live and Game Pass, then fucking bring it on.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope they do that. Apparently, we're also supposed to be getting the glimpses at the new Xbox this year, so we'll see what that's like. I think this E3 might be very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah.
As opposed to, well, last year was interesting for a different reason. We'll just leave it at that. Just because it was awful. Moving on from that, apparently the next Assassin's Creed game might not be Rome, but Vikings. This is also very interesting to me because I'm not 100% sure if the Vikings are a good fit for the old-style Assassin's Creed games, which are the ones that I'm familiar with, like your a la like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 2.5, 2.75, and 3, and so on. But I have a feeling that they might make a really cool game for the new mode of Assassin's Creed. So your Black Flags, your Odysseys, and your Origins, like your big kind of super open world, more exploration RPG elements than sneaking assassination elements. I feel like that would be a really cool mix for that formula. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I still consider Black Flag the old style. It was open world, more open world than the others, but the gameplay was still
Well, I mean,
stealth centric.
I was just naming examples, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like pseudo open world. It kind of
But
just
yeah,
had these big
this is definitely gonna be in the style of Odyssey and Origins.
I
Hopefully
think
they bring back some of the social stealth aspects of the previous ones, but if they're going full Viking, I kind of doubt they will. But I do think this the whole Viking culture and that world would be really interesting. I don't know how they'd tie it into Assassin's Creed. But
not very conducive for assassinating, though. Vikings were not, they were more the raping and pillaging type.
what the fuck is going on over there?
I'm moving my chair around, Aaron. Calm the fuck down.
I thought you were making balloon animals.
My chair's scraping up against my back wall because I'm adjusting because my legs are sore. Yeah, I don't know how conducive like Vikings are to the Assassin's Creed kind of storyline.
What's the time period for Vikings?
Anything between, I want to say 1700s AD or 700s AD. 700s AD to around 12, 13, 1400s. Let's say 700s to 1400s. Anywhere in there, and you're really looking at anywhere between the 9th century to the 12th century. Those were kind of the big years.
So,
if I'm remembering my history correctly.
If it is Vikings, then it would take place before Odyssey?
No. Vikings are much later. So Odyssey is... Odyssey, I believe, is something like 400 or 300
AD.
B.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have said Common Era, which is what it's called now.
Yeah,
It would be long after Origins as well.
I heard you say AD, but it didn't click in my brain. Anyway.
Honestly, I want the next Assassin's Creed game to be in Japan during this Sengoku Jedi, which is their big period of civil war and strafe. Because that was a time where actual ninjas were actually doing ninja things. It's like it's a setting made for an Assassin's Creed game. I don't know why they haven't made one set in that time period yet. That would be absolutely amazing to play as. Another cool one would be Imperial China during the Three Wars period, which would have been around the same time as the Peloponnesian War.
Yeah.
Give or take a century.
Can't do turbo ship microtransactions and stuff like that, though. If you set it mostly in land. If you do the Vikings, then you can do like raiding stuff on other ships.
And you can have Norse god like armors and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Kratos
like
show up out of nowhere
and stuff
rip
like
your
that.
arms off.
$14.99 god armor.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think Vikings is cool. It's a nice change from Greece, especially if they were to go to Rome. I don't know how
Vikings
much weight.
is cool.
I don't know how much weight this rumor holds. I think there's a couple of different sources on the game, codenamed being called a kingdom, which is kind of vague. But then there was an Easter egg somebody found in the Division. In the second game of what appears to be some sort of Norse figure holding an apple of Eden. So I don't know if that's, again, that could just be some random art in the game. But it is kind of convenient, so maybe there's something to it.
I mean, there's a couple of things this could be, because the Vikings, I mean, they're known for their raids, but I don't know how... they were actively involved in warfare as well. They very famously took over Paris and threatened to burn it to the ground unless the French king gave them money, and a lot of it, which he did. You could set it during that time period. You could set it during...
You should watch Vikings.
I know. I got like 100 things to watch.
That's in the show. You should just watch the show. It's amazing.
But another thing they could do is one of the themes of the game could be the takeover of Christendom into the Viking world, and you could do a plot line about how the Templars represent Christendom, or they represented the Norse order, and the Assassins are Christendom, and it's like the old versus the new, that sort of thing. Or that could be the major focus of it, where like some sort of like Norse cult is trying to destroy Christianity, or Christianity is trying to wipe out the Norse religion. You could do something like that in there, because that was a real thing that happened. Although the Christianization of the Norse people is a long and complicated and very it's like a gradual thing. It happens slowly. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Vikings would be really cool. We haven't really gotten a Viking game. We don't get a lot of Norse games anyway. The only ones I can think of are oh my god, was it
Skyrim?
Hellblade?
Oh.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, God of War, the new one.
That wasn't a Norse game though. That was a Gaelic thing. Senua's Sacrifice.
I thought it was Norse.
Pretty sure it's Gaelic.
Oh well, then my apologies. Well, Gaelic is kind of closely tied into Norse anyway. It's certainly closer than the ancient Greece and Roman religions.
Yeah.
But anyway, my apologies. I haven't played the game yet.
I might be totally wrong.
We've gotten God of War, and there were Vikings in For Honor. And besides that, I don't think and Skyrim, if you want to count Skyrim, because Skyrim has a very Norse feel to it. But besides that, I don't really think we've had any major historical Norse-based games, at least not for a very long time. So this could be very interesting if that's the case. I'll be excited for that game.
Yep. Look forward to it. That's what it is.
So yeah. Hopefully, it'd be also cool to see Rome as well. Don't get me wrong, like Rome around the time of Julius Caesar or one of the two triumvirate. That would be really cool.
Rome would be cool as well, but it is, in terms of aesthetic anyway, already very similar to Odyssey.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought that's like a guaranteed thing that they'll do, because they can reuse so many assets from Origins and Odyssey.
Again, like not to like there is they did worship the similar gods, because Jupiter is the Roman equivalent of Zeus, and they're very, very similar. They're not the exact same, but they're very similar. But and there is major cultural difference between Greece and Rome. Also, it's kind of hard to say like this is Greece, because Greece goes through a couple of big changes. Like there was Greece under Athens, and then Greece under Carthage, and then Athens, and then Macedonia during Alexander the Great's empire. So there's no like one kind of Greek era.
No, but there's
I'm saying landscape assets and
I see what you're saying.
All the Rome assets that were made for Origins were essentially just recolored and used in Odyssey as well. Obviously, they made new stuff, but Odyssey has a lot of just recolored assets.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure I buy it as a rumor, because I still think it's entirely viable for them to do a Rome game, considering all the shit that went down with Cassandra's offspring sort of being an essential character, and that them taking place in Rome after the events of Odyssey.
Well,
so
we've already kind of seen Rome, like ancient Rome, from the perspective of these Assassin's Creed games, because in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, one of the armor sets you could get was Brutus's armor. I believe.
Wasn't part of Brotherhood in Rome?
All of Brotherhood was in Rome. Rome was the only city. But I'm talking about ancient Rome.
Yeah,
it's a good game.
Great game.
You could go around and collect the different armor pieces from Brutus's armor, as you did so, you found out about his assassination, because you would uncover like notes and stuff. You'd find out about his assassination attempt against Julius Caesar and why he was doing what he was doing.
So does that tie into Origins then, Andrew? Do you know?
Kind of.
Because Origins, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, Origins takes place right before Julius Caesar takes over Rome, correct?
Well, his assassination is in the game.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's at the end. There's a time skip to the assassination.
Is
Okay.
it?
But Origins is really about Cleopatra's rise to the throne.
Is that
Cleopatra.
in the base game or is that in the DLC, Andrew? Because I can't remember.
No, Origins, that's the end of the game. You play as
Aya or whatever her name was.
Aya, yeah.
I gotta say, Cleopatra is a very interesting historical character because, you know, she was long demonized by the Romans as being this kind of like wily seductress who seduced both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Into basically giving up the Roman heritage and becoming Egyptian, even though she herself is of Greek heritage. But she's actually a very, she's kind of like like an archetypical Machiavellian the prince kind of archetype, where she's like very, very intelligent, hyper intelligent woman, very, very well, like a very good statesperson. She was a good ruler. She knew how to do politics. She was also a patron of the humanities and the arts. She's a very interesting person. This makes me want to go back and pick up Origins again, because I put it down because I was was a bit, when I picked it up, I was a bit burnt out from open world games. But I love ancient Egypt's aesthetic, and I love that era of history where the rise of the Roman Empire, the fall of Egypt under them, with the last pharaoh being Cleopatra. Like, that's a very interesting era of history for me, and I'd love to be able to kind of bop around and explore. And plus, we hardly ever get ancient Egypt in games, which is so that's always very nice. Was that the game where they released kind of like a special version of it that was for schools, where you can go around to the different sites, like historical sites?
That mode is in the game. You can turn that mode on. It's just like a walking tour of Egypt.
That's a really cool
thing.
thing.
Although, if you'll remember, there was a lot of controversy with that because they censored a lot of things.
Oh yeah, that's what they made it seem like the ancient Egyptians taught both women and girls and men had equal opportunities in school. And stuff.
Ancient Egypt was this liberal paradise.
It really was.
It doesn't come across that much in the tours. I did a lot of them because I was doing 100% achievement run on the game, and there's a number of achievements tied to the tour stuff. So I did a number of the tours, and it doesn't really hit you over the head with how liberal everything is. It just kind of, you get to walk around, and then at set points they tell you, like, this is what this area was for. So it's done pretty well.
It wasn't unheard of for women to have like a lot of schooling and stuff, but it was only the very, very, very like most powerful women, like the children of pharaohs and priestesses and stuff, and even some very wealthy merchants. And it was more rare than men. Even a lot of men didn't get educated back in those days, but certainly I believe more men, if I'm remembering my history correctly, more men did than women. But I could stand corrected on that. But anyway, that's really cool. I kind of want them to do something like that for more, like, even just to say, like, okay, we did that for ancient Egypt, now let's do Greece and have a walking tour of ancient Greece. That would be a really cool tool to have for classrooms and stuff for kids, or even just as like a talking point. Like, I would love just bopping around Greece and seeing all the different sites, like the Battle of Thermopylae in Athens and the Parthenon and all that cool jazz. Like, that'd be fucking sweet. Love that.
That would be cool. There was a lot of tours in Origins. There was, I don't know, probably over 100 different tours in the game, all like voiced and stuff. It was really well done.
Anyway,
nice to see that again.
Yeah. It's been interesting to see Assassin's Creed kind of move on, move, like how like what historical eras they want to touch on and how they handle that, because anyway, it's neither here nor there. We only got a few quick things left to talk about.
Short one this week.
Yeah, not a lot of stuff happened this week. I think we're going to be saving up for a lot of our discussions for later on, but we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame and some other movies and games that are coming out. But this week has been pretty slack. Just some very quick stuff. Jason Schreier? How do you pronounce his last name?
No,
Andrew?
you got it.
Schreier? He wrote an article about BioWare. I didn't read it. I don't know if you did, Andrew. Did you read it?
Well, it's on Kotaku, so.
No. Well, did you read it?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good article. Jason Schreier, he is passionate. Let's say that.
Who is he for the audience?
Well, he's a journalist.
Okay.
He's a games journalist. He does some good work though, and this is some of it.
What was
basically,
the article
huh?
about? Continue. Sorry, I interrupted you.
So the article is basically post-mortem of BioWare's Anthem, how it went wrong according to him, based on inside sources. Did you know, Adam and Aaron, Anthem wasn't even supposed to be the name of this game.
What was it supposed to be?
It was going to be called Beyond. In fact, they even had like
goodness.
T-shirts and promotional materials made up. But like a few hours before they, a few days before they announced the game at E3, they changed the name to Anthem.
Yeah, I saw that. I looked into that article. I skimmed through it, and that was because the higher up said that Beyond would be too hard to get as a like a property.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's like Beyond Good and Evil, Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond wasn't a great name either, but
No.
in the context of the story, it would be about venturing beyond the gates of the cities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anthem's not a great title either because there's no
Well,
not really any justification for it.
Yeah, they retroactively gave it a narrative purpose.
Yeah.
So it's like it's great when you see a story and the story's rewritten to accompany a last minute decision.
Anyway, you'll remember that their last game, Mass Effect Andromeda, also had a lot of issues.
It was originally supposed to be called Mass Effect Beyond.
Yeah.
Actually,
Anyway.
that would have been a better name. Like that is less stupid tacked on the Mass Effect than it would have been for this new property, because at least it's like, oh, it's beyond the Milky Way, and it's, we're going beyond the bounds of exploration. Like, it's a whole new, to infinity and beyond, if you will. So.
And also Elite Dangerous is Beyond update.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Beyond.
Yeah.
Anyway, the article was largely calling out mismanagement, a lot of people succumbing to depression and anxiety and leaving the studio,
good.
stuff
that's
like
always
that.
Good.
Morale is pretty low at BioWare. It looks like. Anyway, when the article came out a few hours later, BioWare put up a response on their blog and basically called out the article, how they felt that it was unfair for the article to come out and kind of call out specific individuals, which it doesn't really do.
I don't remember it naming any names.
Yeah, it really doesn't. But they felt it was like bordering on harassment sort of thing. So not a great response from BioWare's PR team or whoever put this out.
Anyway, to have a good response to kind of that level of condemnation, though, or like, there's like, if an article comes out, like, people working for this company were so overworked that they developed anxiety and depression. Is like, well, how do you put a good PR spin on that? It's like, we didn't mean to be that shitty. We just wanted to put out a bad game.
Anyway, after BioWare's public response to this article, there was an internal. So with the public thing. With the public response, there were also reports of all of BioWare staff being told, do not talk to the press, which is always good.
Yeah.
But there was another leaked thing that from Casey Hudson, who's the general manager of BioWare.
Yeah.
You'll remember he's largely responsible for Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Anyway, he put out a mass email to the whole staff, and basically saying, "Look, the problems that the article brings up are real things that we have to focus on. Let's work on this sort of thing."
That's
so the internal response to the article is much much more positive than the public one they released.
Well, again, I don't know Casey Hudson personally, but from different interviews and stuff I've seen, and just like from his work, he doesn't seem like the kind of person to be an asshole. Like he seems to like love the industry, or at least like the industry, and he doesn't seem like, you know, he's not like a Bobby Kotick who's just in it for the money. Like you get the sense he's also in it to make, you know, good games, and I not that I wouldn't believe that he has the capability of being like a shitty like person to work for, but at the same time, like I have a hard time believing that somebody who's that passionate about the games industry and who's kind of worked in the games industry for that long with that level of passion would want to keep people that level of depressed. You know what I mean? Also, that response shows that, like, even I hope it's not bullshit, because if it's bullshit, then fuck him. But if it's not bullshit and he genuinely wants to improve, then at least there's that. Like, his employees shouldn't have been put in that situation in the first place. That's like a massive mark against him. But at least he's trying. Like, that's more than a lot of other companies seem to.
Well, I mean, he only came back midway through this, right?
Oh yeah,
he wasn't at BioWare for a while.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Anyway,
I don't think while he was gone, I don't think there was anybody there to actually manage the company.
That's always good.
Yeah. Nobody had to actually step up and run the studio. And I mean, Casey always seemed like a genuine guy.
Yeah.
He was a major pusher for the Mass Effect 3 ending. So,
like the one that we got?
Yeah. The initial ending that we got.
Well,
so he was largely responsible for how that turned out. So, I mean, I don't agree with everything he does, but he seems like a genuine guy.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's able to, you know, like, get the studio back to where it once was.
I hope he does too, but I'm not 100% sure that he can. Not with this market not being owned by EA, but I really hope for him, because BioWare to me is kind of like Bungie, like old Bungie, like Halo 2, Halo 3 era Bungie, where it's like a bunch of super motivated, energetic people who love the industry and just want to have like are very community oriented. Like I haven't heard any horror stories coming out of Bungie from that era. The only ones that I can think of was that Halo 2's development was kind of a nightmare to work on, but that was because they decided to remake the engine. But even then, I don't think it was anything. I don't remember any big like controversies coming up about it. I could be wrong. It could have been fucking hell working for Bungie, but at least from what I haven't heard any big rumors. So it seems like, but you know what I mean? Like BioWare and Bungie, they like old Bungie anyway. They always seem to be kind of like not scummy companies when it came to this industry. So I hopefully BioWare can return to that. So. Yeah, it's kind of sad to see how far BioWare has fallen, because I've always I've been a big fan of their stuff for a while. Mass Effect is my favorite video game franchise of all time, and I've loved the Knights of the Old Republic. I like Jade Empire. Wasn't as big a fan of Dragon's Age, but I can appreciate what it is and why other people like it. So hopefully this isn't the end for BioWare, although I think if the end comes for BioWare, it's going to come from EA's end rather than the company just breaking up on its own. But anyway, we'll see about that. A couple of very quick things. One is apparently Labo VR compatibility coming to Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to implement VR for those games, because they weren't kind of designed for VR, but that's kind of a cool thing, I guess.
There'll probably be just extra modes you download or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird to download, because the Switch doesn't have a big internal hard drive space, so I don't know how much they're gonna be able to.
Oh, never mind. Apparently, the entirety of Breath of the Wild will be playable in VR mode.
Oh,
so is it first person, or is it just a third person camera following Link?
Probably a third person camera mode.
That's kind of lame, but
that's going to be nauseating.
Yeah. And the last one is apparently Prince Harry of the British royal family thinks that Fortnite shouldn't be allowed.
I agree, person.
Andrew, I think you posted this. Do you have any more about this?
Well, yeah. I've got Prince Harry here on the phone.
Oh,
Would you like
God.
to speak to him?
No, I do not. Just we're an hour in. Just yes, I would like to speak to Prince Harry.
Boy, hello. I'm Prince Harry.
No, I changed my mind. Hang up. Beep.
Go have sex with Meghan Markle or whoever it is.
Yeah, it is Meghan Markle.
Anyway,
so yeah, like what?
If you had continued to speak to him, he would have said that game shouldn't be allowed. Where is the benefit of having it in your household? It's created to addict, an addiction to keep you in front of a computer for as long as possible. It's so irresponsible. It's like waiting for the damage to be done and kids turning up on your doorsteps and families being broken down.
All right, I don't think it's that bad, but
Yeah, why is it just Fortnite in that case? Because lots of games do that.
yeah.
Because it's
Harry.
created to addict.
Get your dick out of Meghan Markle and fucking look at the games industry for once.
He also said similar things about social media and,
I mean, that's
basically
that's a
saying
larger...
it's more addictive than drugs and alcohol.
There might be something to that because there are long-term studies being undertaken now that haven't really released their findings yet. But there are I have read some short-term studies that have said like, the social media can represent an addiction to people, and I think that's certainly true. I don't know how much it targets specifically young people. I think everybody, all generations, are susceptible to the social media addictions, because I know a lot of people, of the baby boomer generation are absolutely addicted to social media. But
The sweet dopamine addictions.
yeah, but again, I don't know. I haven't really looked into the science of that all that much. I don't know if it's actually addictive, but I do know that there are people who
I
are
thought you were a
addicted. I just don't know how
scientist.
widespread it is.
I thought
Me?
you were a biologist.
I'm a political scientist, which is actually an arts. So I'm actually so far removed from science
Science
that
is
I don't.
art.
I think a physicist. If I were to mention like I'm a scientist too, I'm a political scientist. I think a physicist would like hit me over the head with a telescope or something. To be fair, it should be called political studies because we can't actually really do any kind of major empirical scientific research because it's very hard to get sample sizes. And anyway, that's a whole other thing I won't get into about why my fucking field is kind of bullshit.
I liked Prince Harry's opinion when it was more in line with mine.
One very quick thing.
What was your
before we-
opinion? What would?
Oh, that
would-
Fortnite is just awful by itself.
I don't think Prince Harry plays Fortnite.
I would say that Prince Harry probably does not play Fortnite. I think he has too much else to do being
I
a
don't
prince
know.
married to a movie star. So
I would say that he played it and he lost badly, so he played it again and kept losing to Ninja or whatever, and then he just got super salty, so that's why he came out and said this.
ban it, mom,
Fortnite
mother,
is awful.
grandmother,
We're not
ban
gonna
it.
play this.
He storms into the British House of Parliament, and they're in the middle of killing each other over bragging. He's like, "We gotta ban Fortnite."
Yeah,
Get outta here, Prince
Megan
Harry.
is standing in lingerie in the door, and she's like, "I'm all hot and wet for you, baby." And then he's like, "Fuck off! I'm trying to beat Ninja." And then he lost again, and then he came out to wherever this news article was, the Daily Mail or whatever. Old white man says Fortnite is awful. No one cares.
One last thing before we end off. I bought Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Oh, really?
last
Samurai
weekend.
Souls.
It's hard. I kind of like the gameplay, except for when it gets ludicrously hard, because I'm very, very bad at every Souls game that has ever come out. So I don't know how far I'm going to get in it. I'm still trying to plug away
Did you go
at it,
into
but-
this expecting you to succeed?
No, but I wanted to give it because it's been a long time since I played a decent Souls game. Like the last Souls game I played was Dark Souls 3, and that was like 3 years ago. That came out 2016.
Is that what it was called? Decent Souls?
So no, Dark Souls 3. Clean your ears out.
Dark Souls.
And so I thought, I was like, I'll give this another try. It's possibly even harder than Dark Souls.
I heard it was like faster paced or something. And maybe
It's
that's-
very faster paced. It's easier in that it's easier to cheese the game because there's a stealth mechanic to the game now, so you can hit an enemy for do a backstab on an enemy from a hidden position, kill him instantly, run away, wait for the enemy to forget about you, run back, do it again, which works really, really well for groups of enemies. But when you get to a boss where that doesn't work, that's when I fall apart in gameplay, because it's all about timing. You have to block in this game. You have to time your blocks very, very well, and I'm really, really terrible at that. So that's not a slight against the game. It's a slight against me. The gameplay is fun for the most part. Again, the story seems to be told in the typical Dark Souls style, where it's very contextual. Not a lot is said via cutscenes or stuff. It's all kind of you have to kind of take the hidden meaning out of a lot of dialogue, or like put two and two together. So I don't think that's the best way to tell a story, but I think it's a very interesting way to tell a story. So we'll see. I don't know what the major plot line is yet, although I do know that you play a ninja, a shinobi, who is serving this young lord called the Divine Heir, who is kidnapped, and you have to try and rescue him. No, you're shinobi.
Oh, it says Ninja Souls.
There's
no alliteration there. Come on, you got a better than that.
Shinobi Souls.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, my thoughts are so far. If you like the Souls series of games, I would recommend picking that up. But if not, then probably I would give this one a miss, or just watch a Let's Play. If you're not a fan of the Souls games. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for the podcast this week.
That's
kind of a short podcast because not a lot happened this week. Also, a couple of us are busy, and we can't really stick around too long for this. But hopefully we'll be back next week in the end of the month with some stuff about Avengers. I'm sure we'll have lots to say about Endgame. Plus, I'm hoping to see Hellboy sometime next week. So
is that out now?
It's coming out on the 12th, so I'm hoping by next podcast I'll be able to see it. It might be the podcast after, but we'll let you know. So thank you very much for listening. This has been Adam, and with Andrew.
Hey.
And Aaron, who can say goodbye. We thank you very much for listening, and we hope you have a really good day. Bye-bye.
See you next time, everybody.